Hello, YouTubers. Joe and Paul here of Joe and Paul. Actually, we're both together.
And we're in the backyard.
And we're out on the back porch, and it's been like 55 today, since sort of, once the sun sort of got up and got everything reasonable. And so it's been very pleasant. We've been out on the back porch the better part of the day, although I will say the earlier part of the day, I was doing my usual reading the Wall Street Journal, and I've got this other website I look at, and it's got lots of links that you go to and links that you go to and little videos that you can look at. And one of the videos was of the St. Matthew Passion, and not just like a little clip of the St. Matthew Passion, the entire 3-hour plus box St. Matthew Passion. Now perhaps you can hear this fellow going by who is trying to show you and tell us all that he's riding his penis. Thank you, guy, riding by.
Well, anyway, you used to call him crotch rockets.
Yes, well, I mean, it's one of these things that, it's not like a real hog where you're actually sort of looking where you're going. It's one of these things where you have to sort of hunker down and wad yourself up like a snot rag. Now, I don't understand that. Anyway, so to get back to this, so I was watching these, actually it turns out, various YouTube versions of the St. Matthew's Passion. So that was a wonderful thing. And then, Paul thought maybe he'd do his taxes today, but that sort of fizzled out. But at some point,
I can do it. We'll do it Monday.
Paul is off until April 9th. So I think I mentioned that, but so he's in that sort of decompressive state that you get into when you get a little bit of time off.
Yeah, shock of a vacation since 2002.
Whenever I take time off, I try to take 2 weeks off at a time. But I also, it's like I took 8 weeks off a year. It's like 3 2 weeks, and then 2 1 week. But it inevitably took 3 days for me to get sort of back to normal. And then, of course, before you go back to work, it takes 3 days to crank back up to getting in that kind of tense state. So,
work mode.
so there we are. Well, now to get to the stories for today, and there will be some stories. Paul had an interesting encounter on the phone at the hotel. I shouldn't move this around. About a fellow that came in requesting a special search for an implement that he had purportedly left behind.
About something, an item he had left behind, and he wanted it back because it was his favorite
male implement of pleasure. It was an implement used for male pleasure. Well, but tell him about the real issue. I'm sorry.
The guy left a damn dildo, and he wanted to know if he could have it, and he gave us a room number that he'd been in. Only problem is, the rooms do not go that high up.
Well, not at your place, but there is one place in Columbus that does go that high. So perhaps this was a legitimate call, but misdirected.
Right. The guy gave too high of a room number for our building, so evidently he dialed a wrong number.
Oh, okay. Well, I think he was just shining
light. May have had the right name, but just the wrong phone number.
Well, actually, though, about a few months back, Paul told me this tale of woe and lament by a fellow that had called in, and also was referencing the room numbers that were too high. And who knows? Well, anyway, so that was. Paul's had some other adventures, at the hotel this week, but we really can't talk about that because it was, well, we just can't talk about that. Now, I want to tell you a story about a fellow that I was involved in caring for 40 years ago. It's 40 years ago, guys. They're all dead, no people were harmed in the making of this video. And no names will be used, but I will tell you the situation. This woman that is at our church, I've told you about her. She's just a wonderful soul, and she had pneumonia, and she called me the other day about wanting us to pray for some kid out in Seattle, and that was fine. But I got telling her stories. Well, she's a nurse, so she can, it's great for me because I can talk to somebody that's a nurse or a medical professional that isn't going to have all of this sort of civilian layperson assumptions about, oh, it's so terrible. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's terrible, but that doesn't nothing to do with taking care of people. And so this would have been in '74. I was probably still a medical student. Anyway, so this guy comes in, and he'd tried to kill himself. And he was probably in his late 50s, early 60s.
Kind of
like us. And he tried to shoot himself. Well, instead of, if you're ever going to shoot yourself, you don't do one of You don't do
a hot
you don't do one of those things.
Don't try to do yourself behind the ear.
You stick the barrel in your mouth and you take furnace tape and you wrap it around the barrel and then you wrap it around the back of your head so one, it doesn't blow the when you pull the trigger, it doesn't blow your face off. So that it stays there and it blows basically the top part of your head off. And yeah, that's how you kill yourself with a gun. So this guy, of course, did one of these. Well,
he missed.
No. He, typically he did what happened when you try to do that. It went just far enough behind his eyes that it sheared off his optic nerves, but not far enough back from his eyes that it got into his brain. And so basically he had a hole through his head.
That also happened to an accidental drive-by shooting one time here in town.
To get to the point of the story is so this guy had a hole through his head, and you could look through one side to the other.
It was neat.
It was like a little tunnel, and it was like, oh, here I'll do it. See my eye? That's about what it was like. It wasn't maybe quite that wide, maybe a little narrower, but you get the idea. And it fell to me after things had sort of stabilized. I hate that word, but stabilized a bit. To go in and we were packing this thing with gauze, and cleaning, flushing it out and packing the thing with gauze and cleaning it out. And so I'd go in there a couple times a day to do this. And now it seems that his wife, it seems that one of the reasons this guy, there may have been many reasons, but one of the primary reasons this guy tried to kill himself, his wife was just unpleasant to him. Who knows? Marriages are very personal and unique. Anyway, that was sort of as things developed.
Really tolerable
and
unbearable.
And so he had tried to kill himself. So meanwhile, his wife actually turns up into this ICU room. We had these. This was before Ohio State built this huge number of, this big ICU and all this stuff. And we had like an ICU with 6 beds, and then we had various little mini ICUs with 4 beds scattered about the place. And so she's in there, and the nurses were saying, "Oh, it's so wonderful that Mrs. So-and-so
is in here to comfort her husband.
she must really love him and take care of him and all this kind of stuff.
And console him, talk to him.
So that thing about him killing himself because of her can't possibly be true and so forth. So anyway, I'm in there, and my job was to, you pull out the old packing, you flush it out with some antibiotic solution and, a little brush maybe, and And then you
brush.
well, it's a brush.
Okay.
And you pack thing in with iodoform gauze. Well, meanwhile, of course, I would be down really close to this guy's hole through his head, and I could see the woman, his wife,
on the other side.
So he had like his little sort of, like here, like sort of like, oh here,
here.
Here, I'll make Paul here, like
here.
See,
No.
Oh,
Put your hands down. Joe could look through over here and see me. Wait, no, somehow.
I'll be quiet.
No, I'm trying to get to.
I know it's hard, isn't it?
Oh, here.
Oh, there we go. That's okay. You're allowed to sort of touch that part of me from time to time. Okay.
All right. Look through here.
Yeah.
Look through here on Joe's temple.
Yeah.
And see me over here.
Yeah.
Talking in his ear.
Exactly. Well, see, what would happen is this woman would sit right close to the bedside, and I'm on the other side of the bedside because I'm shoving stuff in and out of this hole. And when I'd get sort of everything cleaned up and tidied up before I'm starting to pack things in again, I would hear her lean in and say very quietly, but nonetheless very clearly, now, obviously the nurses weren't hearing this because they were
not in order.
Were laboring under a misapprehension here. And she would say things like, now I'm going to try to leave the obscenities out of this. See, you are so
worthless.
Incompetent. Well, yes, worthless. She she did this kind of, ringing the changes riff. But, you are so incompetent that you can't even kill yourself by shooting yourself in the head. This guy's blind. Now, he can hear perfectly well, he's off the vent. It's not like he's a vegetable. He's just lying there taking this. It's just absolutely surreal. So, I told this to this woman from church who had called to tell me about this other individual needed prayer. And she said, this is getting a little bit macabre. I said, you don't even know the half of it because, what I think you ought to do, or somebody ought to do, is have a movie that starts out with, the opening shot, it's this woman's face in this little circle, and then you pull back and you see this tunnel of granulation tissue inside this guy's head, and then the end of that opening shot is, somebody like me poking gauze into it. Meanwhile, the soundtrack is saying what she's saying to him. I think that would be a wonderful, wonderful movie.
Layman term here, you have the woman in this tunnel shot. And when you pull back, you're going to actually catch the opposite side of the head to where the wife is leaning up and whispering sweet
nothing
into his ear.
Oh,
with her head behind his head.
The nurse said,
gee, you're so
she's so
lame,
loving.
You
She
cannot blow your own brains
She
out
takes such
properly.
good care of him. Well, anyway, so I think that would be a good opening shot for a movie of some variety. So, all you screenwriters out there, get right on that.
I mean, somebody could really come up with something. It'd really make a ton of money.
Well, pass the time.
Mean, that could be a start of something, but it could go on and on, off into something else. Like one of these things where they're doing all this sci-fi things where giant meteor's going to come and hit the earth and move it off somewhere off track and that.
No. Well, so anything more here?
No, not really.
you know, I'll get off this.
I'm going to do my taxes Monday instead of tomorrow, because tomorrow's Easter.
Well, that's right. Are you going to go to church with me?
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be great. Hell, that'll be fun. You going to come up and take the wine?
Sure.
Oh, hell, that'll be a change. Yeah.
I'm allowed to do communion.
Well, yes, you're baptized. You're baptized. You know, yeah. I myself think anybody that believes should be able to take communion, whether they're baptized or not. But that makes me an outlier in the U.S. Episcopal Church. But you know, I don't.
You're baptized.
Yes, I'm baptized. Yes. Yeah. I don't remember being baptized. Unlike you, you know, you at least had the experience of actually being baptized that you remember. Boy, we get into that, but not today. So go out and enjoy this fine day here, YouTubers, and I'm going to shut up now. Bye-bye.
We may be back later.
Well, you never know.
Give us up.
Yeah.
Hang in there.
Yeah, you never know. All righty. Bye-bye.